Hello everyone, welcome to Frame Trap. I'm your host Ben Moore. Today I'm joined by these lovely human beings. Huber's playing with that Pokeball over there.
So awesome.
That's Michael Huber on the end.
Hello.
Daniel Bloworth in the middle.
Hey.
And Kyle Bossman right next to me.
Hi.
Ooh, I like that. So, we always start the show with what you've been playing, but I have a question for all of you that we're going to do real quick before we get into the games. It was 4th of July weekend, and, celebrating independence. It's a good time. You got cookouts, you got fireworks, you got all that stuff. So I want to know what you guys did, if you did anything at all for your 4th of July weekend. Michael Huber, I'm going to start with you.
Yes. I saw 2 movies.
Ooh.
Nice.
Saw Independence Day with my brother and my brother alone because we used to have a disc with like an MP3. Remember illegal downloads? You used to put just a bunch of random songs on a disc. Haven't done that in a while. But we would have Bill Pullman's speech on a disc, and we would drive around and just blast his speech because we were so obsessed with that movie. And then we saw it, and it was all right.
Before we get into Independence Day resurgence, sorry, what were you going to say?
I know, but that just reminded me of like those two things put together. It just reminds me of like old school industrial music with like all the Blade Runner samples and stuff.
That's really funny. Huber, is your brother a lot like you? Is he like as excitable and like energetic and physical as you are?
Sometimes, rarely, okay. But when he is, it is similar.
Whose idea was driving around with a speech blasting?
It was me. Yeah. I also used to drive around blasting God of War, the soundtrack.
Huber, so Independence Day was one of those movies. I've actually never seen Independence Day, which I know is crazy, but. From my understanding, Independence Day is one of those movies that was kind of a product of its time.
It is, yeah.
And it, when they announced they were making a sequel, it felt really weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why or if they'd be able to recapture that same sort of magic. Yeah. And it, based on your expression, it doesn't seem like they did.
Yeah. It was cool because a lot of the cast returned, and Roland Emmerich returned to direct, so like, it felt like part of the original in that sense. There wasn't a huge disconnect, but it just wasn't fun.
How did the humans win?
You want me to spoil it?
Yeah. Give me a hint, man, because I just don't get it. I don't.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
So think movies nowadays. Yeah. Think franchise. How would you make this last like 10 more movies?
Gotcha.
Multiple alien races.
A third party. Multiple
parties.
Ooh,
which
nice.
is a great idea, but it just didn't have the payoff.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not terrible. It was all right.
That is one of my, like, when they pull that card with in terms of antagonists, they do it in Mass Effect, they do it in a bunch of anime, they do it in a lot of things, where they spend hours and hours and hours and hours building up this one force, and then at like the very end, they're like, actually, there's a force beyond that. Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
So, but it set it up for later. The like sentient AI thing basically like gave him advice on like how to win, and so
cool. What was the other movie?
The Purge, election year.
Are any of those movies good?
Yes.
Okay.
So good. The same dude writes and directs all 3 of them. And they've only gotten better. 2 is better than 1, 3 is better than 2. And this one works so well because it is a cause you can get behind. It's characters that you actually root for.
Why?
So the other ones are about like violence and killing. This one is about the Juliet from Lost. I forget her name in real life. She's running for president, and she was a victim of the Purge in the past, and she wants to stop it. She's like, when I get elected, I'm going to stop it. And the people in power are like, no. We got to keep the status quo. We got to eliminate her so we can keep the Purge. So on Purge night, they sent a team of assassins to go kill her, and the hero from 2 is like her bodyguard, and then, they get in it, and they meet some other people along the way that are really, really cool. Like, just a great ragtag cast of characters surviving Purge night.
That sounds awesome, because what I was worried about is, that the idea of the Purge, that one night where it's totally okay to kill, doing 3 movies of that where you go through that night again and again, it seemed like it could feel a little bit...
Because the first one is just in the house.
Right.
And the second one, obviously, like, okay, let's go out into the street, out into the chaos. And this one was similar to 2, but again, it was like that mission.
It's about consequences.
It is.
So here's the thing, Hubert, is you just talked about Aliens and the Independence Day and how to make that a franchise.
Yeah.
I gotta assume she is not successful in ending the Purge.
I don't want to spoil. I'm not going to spoil the Purge. The Purge is
Kyle Bossman
sacred.
keeps
Okay.
wanting to
Yeah.
do these spoilers for these recently released movies.
Yeah.
You
All right,
gotta-
all right.
you
Independence Day
gotta
can be
stop it.
spoiled because it's throwaway. You'll watch it on like HBO one night.
Yeah.
I doubt I will ever watch it.
Yeah.
But
Purge rules.
So yeah, nobody's making a Star Fox level out of this Independence Day.
No.
that'd be sick though. Daniel Bloodworth, how was your 4th, man?
It's good. It's simple. I went down to a friend's place in Whittier, and we had some barbecue, and we get up on the roof, and just that neighborhood, man, it's like everywhere. Just fireworks, just street away, big booms and all that. So
Nice.
not quite as big as you would get in like a professional show, but pretty close.
Nice. How were the fireworks? Because I've seen good fireworks shows and I've seen bad fireworks
So it
shows.
wasn't a show. It was just the neighborhood. It was all
Right.
illegal. It was just
Oh, I see. So there wasn't. It was just people popping off.
just
with
popping
that
off in
stuff.
every direction
Even
for 2
better.
hours, 3 hours.
Okay.
Even better.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel in danger?
No.
Okay.
Although
so
I've
fun.
heard that, like, in the past, like, in that house, like, there have been, like, trees lit on fire or whatever. But
Oh, jeez.
Then you will really appreciate this story. When my brother went to Japan for like a student exchange program,
Very
his host mother gave him bottle rockets to bring back because they're really, really hard to find in America. They're like straight up illegal. And she packed them as a gift to give him plausible deniability. Like, oh, it was a gift. I didn't know what it was. So she helped him smuggle bottle rockets.
Even though he knew what was in there?
Yeah.
That's very smart. That's pretty cool.
well, one thing that was actually kind of weird. We saw these lights floating by, and at first we weren't sure what they were. Like when it was a little bit light out, like we just like kind of saw this dark thing and this light under, and it's like, is that somebody flying a drone around? I don't know. And there were like planes that were like doing circles, like we would see the same plane over and over again. But then later on, we saw like a formation of these lights, or like 4 or 5 of them, just like coming up like this, and then we'd see them all come up, and then we'd always kind of disappear. And like the only thing I can think of is that they were probably like those Chinese style lanterns. Mm-hmm. You know, we just like light them and then they just float away.
I thought you were gonna go like small soldiers with that. Like they were still started shooting fireworks.
No, I mean, but it is just one of those things where like, yeah, it's an unidentified flying object for sure. It's like we're guessing what it is, but
I heard that a bunch of people were taking drones and just like getting up in fireworks and like recording them and stuff. Like that was a big thing this year,
Whoa,
which I was surprised to hear.
I've seen it. John Finger probably showed me some videos of that.
cool.
Yeah,
well,
that seems like a John.
another
Finger.
thing that was really funny. There was like a police helicopter that went over, and it was like a wave of like quiet. Okay, pop. Like after the chopper passed.
Have any of you actually been hit by a firework? Like, did any of your friends burn you in any bad way? I had a really close call once.
Oh,
I almost got hit by a
not
Roman
that
candle.
I think of. Like maybe like the little rockets or whatever that people would shoot at each other,
Sure.
but not in any way that was like harmful.
Your friend pointed the Roman candle at you?
No, I just didn't know he was firing off a Roman candle, and he like put it into his gut, and I like walked by, and it went like it zipped right by my head, like it was
Ooh.
inches away from my face.
Burning through your face.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
close to that. So
Take an eye out.
Just sticking it to his gut is very funny.
yeah. Well, it was like a thing. People love shooting Roman candles like some sort of gun. Like they don't put it
Yeah.
on the ground and then light a lot of
hold
stuff.
it.
They just like hold it out and they're like, let's go.
Well, I mean, that's the problem is that it's cool.
Yeah,
It is
right.
cool.
Exactly.
Your friend wasn't wrong.
Right.
It's just very dangerous.
Yeah. Yep. It was a close call. I think we were camping. Anyway, Kyle Bossman, what did you do for the 4th?
I did nothing. I have no family in LA. I don't really like to do things. I don't
You didn't quite do nothing.
don't care much for fireworks. I streamed at night.
Yeah,
That's cool.
You
Dumb
did
Game
Dumb Game Monday.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yeah,
All right, cool.
4th of July.
Kyle, don't feel bad. I didn't do anything either. Abby was out of town. I don't know the area that well. Like, I didn't even know where fireworks shows were happening. Not that it would have been hard to find out, but I didn't care enough to find out. And so I just watched a lot of JoJo, which
Nice.
is fun.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I'm at Stardust Crusaders now, which is cool. It's a good show. Let's get into it. Let's do the reverse order.
Okay. What have I played?
Yeah, because you didn't really have a fourth, so let's dig into what you've been playing.
Okay.
Heavy.
Still been playing Dark Souls, but we don't need to talk about it too much. I'm getting
Okay.
deep. I'm almost there. You know what I'd like to talk about is
No, wait, how far are you, Kyle? What boss?
I've dropped ashes on 4 of the 5 chairs,
Nice. Okay.
so I'm on that last chair.
Deep. Nice.
Yeah.
How are you? Do you like it?
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Trials of the Blood Dragon is what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, hit me.
Wow.
So this was a game that was announced and released the day of the Ubisoft press conference. I downloaded it, I think, the next night, just simply out of that, I think, out of that excitement. It's weird, man. It's like, it's not very good, but I like it.
Sure.
There are definite, like, just, you're being a bad game right now, issues with it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the last level of this game is a super long, just dirt bike level.
Yep.
Where it's like, oh, you know what's good. You know what a good level is like, and you just didn't do this. And, like, you have to forgive the game for it, for also being a jetpack game and a running around game and a RC car game.
So it seems like I'm very thankful that you're saying this because Brandon and I think Don had very different impressions. Anytime it wasn't a dirt bike game, I was having way less fun, and I just wish they would have made a straight up Trials game with that style and with some of the ideas that they
Yeah, it's still fun to use your gun while you're on the dirt bike. That
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
And they could have done more of that because you really don't shoot on the dirt bike very often. Mm-hmm. And the bomb mission drove me up a wall.
Oh, you have a bomb on a cart behind you.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think they've had stuff like that before.
It just takes very
Yeah.
particular speed and physics and leanings, and yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. I mean, I played the whole thing. You know, if it was a game I hated, I would have given up on it, but I stuck with it and still wanted to see where it goes because it changes enough. And yeah, it was fun. It just what a cool thing. What a cool thing to drop during E3. The lore is okay. The voice acting is not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a point where you can say this voice acting is intentionally bad, but it's like not on. It's uniquely bad. It's not bad in the same way that the shows you're making fun of are bad.
So it's like trying to be intentionally bad, but is not accomplishing what it's going after.
Right. It's
Okay.
not that type of bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
not the way that 80s movies were bad at voice acting. It's not like that. It's simply, I don't know, you got 2 kids who kind of phoned it in.
Yeah. Do you think we've kind of reached a saturation point with that sort of 80s throwback sort of style? Because we've been
I
seeing
don't
it more
want
and
to
more.
see any more trailers with like the cassette tape effect.
Yeah.
That's just been worn out now.
I think they were trying to push this one forward. Like the loading screen is a disc. It's definitely trying to be more 90s than 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't feel perfect. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is on point.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over the place, which is the point, which is what it was trying to do. It's fun. It's a dumb fun game.
2 quick things. Do you think the 90s is sort of the next thing? Like in a few years, we'll see a bunch of games that call back to that specific period a little bit more heavily than we're seeing with the 80s right now?
Yeah, I mean, no. For mining comedy, I think early 2000s is where we go. Early internet might be the funny place to go. But 90s is tough. 90s has an identity in the beginning where it's like, oh, Fresh Prince. And where the 90s ends with Friends being the most popular show on TV is just so different.
Sure.
90s is really hard to knock down.
I only think of Streets of Rage when I think of the 90s.
Yeah, that's way early 90s, dude.
Yeah.
That's like the first 2 years of the
Yeah,
90s.
yeah.
And so, 90s are all over the place.
It's funny that you mentioned Streets of Rage because that totally is a very 90s game, but it doesn't... it still holds up. It still feels really, really, really well made despite, like, its stylistic choices. It doesn't... I don't know. It doesn't feel old the way some of those other early 90s games feel old. It doesn't have, like, the skateboard kid with the colored wheels and the backwards hat or anything. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think the other thing too
Skate.
is like when you think about in terms of games and those callbacks, like you have Atari and the 8-bits, and so like that pixelized kind of look, like it's very iconic. Whereas the 90s is like, okay, you go from 16-bit to like the chunky polygons of the PlayStation and N64 to the Dreamcast, and it's just like, like it's just such a wide spread of different looks and feels.
I do think we are starting to get into some of that like early polygonal nostalgia stuff. Like there are some PC games that are coming out that pretty much look identical to Quake, and I think that's interesting. Like I think there's a lot of room for creativity there because like I love 8-bit and 16-bit graphics, but I just like it's just not special anymore. Whereas there was a point in time, 5, 6, 7 years ago where somebody would announce an 8 or 16-bit game, and there was some appeal to that. There was some novelty to that. That's just not there.
Bloodworth, what was that game I previewed? Where you're like hopping through different eras of games?
Oh,
Ooh. Oh, you guys remember that?
It's a first-person shooter.
You go like
Yes.
Bedlam.
Well done. Good pull,
Nice.
Blood.
there's two different Bedlams, so there's that Bedlam and then there's the Skyshine Bedlam, which is kind of like Banner Saga and the Apocalypse, but yeah.
It's funny to bring up. Low poly is great, where it's almost like pixel art attached to low polygons. But I don't think there will ever be a nostalgic PS2 look. I don't know what you could nail down there. I don't know if there will ever be like a look how retro this game looks.
Right. Well, the Carmageddon game.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But that just looked like a bad game.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, it's really interesting how.
Because there are a lot of like JRPGs that I can think of from the PS2 that are because they can't
A
have
lot of
an incentive-
JRPGs that still look like PS2 games.
That's true. That's also true. But there are a lot of PS2 JRPGs that like are trying to go for anime look, but the tech isn't there to do it as well as they could do it with like an Ultimate Ninja Storm or something like that. And it's like this weird flat face kind of look
Yeah.
that I think maybe you could chase after, but that's an interesting thing to think about. Besides Trials of the Blood Dragon, anything else?
I played through Kirby Planet Robo-Bobot.
I've been meaning to play it. How is it?
Robobot. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a filler sequel. It's another we need something more on 3DS right now.
Okay.
It's a lot of repeat from the last game. So it feels like an expansion pack to Triple Deluxe more than anything. But it's great. I mean, it's another whole game. It's another whole exacting number of levels. I love it. I love the design of Kirby games. I love them so much. Just the way that puzzles feel good to solve. And I don't know, it's got a consistent world. I would totally dig them. But at the same time, it's less of a complete game than Triple Deluxe was.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So Triple Deluxe does some really weird, cool stuff with new abilities. Basically, when you suck up ability, you have like 8 different moves, and it's like 6 of them unique. They don't all get their justice in this game. It's kind of just they're tossed into levels willy-nilly just to exist, because we already had those from the last game. So if you're thinking about skipping to Planet Robobot, don't. Play through Triple Deluxe first. That's a complete game. That's a meaty one. When you finish it, though, you get to play through the entire game again as Meta Knight, which is kind of sick.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Does he control
Completely differently.
Completely different.
Nice.
Yeah. It's actually very, very cool.
One burning question: how is the mech stuff? That seems like the hook in Robobot.
It's good. It's always particular areas.
I see.
You never finish a level with your mech suit and then start it with again. It's just always like you can use the mech suit between here and here. My favorite part is you unlock stickers in the game, and you attach the stickers to either shoulder of the mech suit.
Oh, nice! So you can customize it.
You can customize your mech.
What did you put on your mech?
There was one that was like a poorly drawn Kirby that stuck around for a while, just like a sloppy little Kirby drawing. There was a DD one that had his DDD face in a gear. I put that one on. A really cool like comic book shading of Wispy Woods. I liked that one a lot. And there's just cool art. There's lots of cool stuff. Words.
I would like a $40 King DDD game, like Gargoyle's Quest style. I don't know. I think DDD is a strong enough character that he could support it.
He was the unlockable playable character in Triple Deluxe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, just own story entirely.
Yeah, but since it's
Focus on
Nintendo, it'll be called like DDD Collect the Stickers.
Wait, what point was that?
Like, what is with the stickers?
Oh.
You're telling me about stickers in
I
this
love the
game?
stickers.
Stickers, Paper Mario.
Stickers,
Well,
No,
3D
these
stickers
stickers
are
are
cool.
cool. These are
Stickers.
cool stickers.
Stickers in Mario
Sticker
Kart.
Star, it's a totally different thing. This is the stickers here are not. I don't
What?
think the ultimate point.
Nintendo, what's with the stickers?
I think you're confusing stickers and stamps too.
God.
Stamps are in Mario Kart.
Stamp stickers.
Well, the stamps are just the meter. I think you're getting hung up on the
All right,
wrong
all right.
things.
I don't know.
Stickers are in
Paper
full
Mario.
color, Huber.
I'm salty about it.
You're salty about stamps and stickers.
Yep.
Okay.
I think they're just the replacement for achievements, basically. But,
Kinda.
yeah.
Let's move on. Let's get a
Okay.
fresh conversation going. Daniel Bloodworth, what have you been playing?
Let's see what I just Huber's played this too. I just finally finished this past week my Witcher 3 Blood and Wine review.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, very good expansion. It's like one of those. Again, it's one of those expansions. It's like you got your sequels. This expansion has more than your sequel, and it's $20.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was a comment on the review too where somebody was like, "I just paid how much money for the Street Fighter stuff?"
It's funny.
So, but yeah, I've spent about 40 hours or so just in Blood and Wine. And it's, and the thing that like really stands out is I've put so much time into The Witcher, especially on my second playthrough, because I was like doing the completionist run that I advise everybody not to do. And so I was in many ways fatigued with parts of that world. And so the surprise of this actually feeling fresh and this actually like giving me that sense of wonder again of like what's around every corner and like, oh, check out this cool place and that cool place. And, it feels like a very different region, a different people and, and artists and weird quests with statues and painters and all this kind of thing. And even like some of the wildlife, just like they've got like pheasants and peacocks running around that, aren't in the main game. Just all of these different little things, and even like the sounds of insects.
There's a lot of things
different.
Kyle Bossman would like about this game. A lot of the quests.
Why do you say that?
Just the one where you have to like take a picture of a peacock
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love
And-
stuff like that.
and like withdraw money from a bank is a quest.
The bank thing.
That
is,
doesn't sound inherently
the
interesting.
bank thing is hilarious.
But that I just feel like Kyle would love this kind of stuff.
Okay.
No, because here's what happens with the bank thing, and it's easy to forget this, is Geralt was dead. He died in the books, and the first game was Geralt just coming back to life.
Whoa!
Oh, foul.
Dodge the Pokeball.
Dodged it.
I'll keep talking.
For listeners,
Drinks are not good on this show.
Bloodworth spilled his bottle of beer.
Root beer.
Alcoholic root beer.
Alcoholic root beer. But no, so anyways, so the whole thing.
He was using tissues to
Yeah,
clean it up.
that's not working out too well. It's right here.
Do we have?
I gotta believe there's paper
It's
towels hiding
it's
around.
working well. Look at this.
Okay. All right, so we're going to the bank.
Okay, so we're going to the bank. But so the thing is Witcher 1, like, basically was like Geralt's more or less coming back from the dead in a way. Like, you don't really understand a lot of it until you get it explained later on. And he has amnesia and all this stuff because of what happened to him. So basically, he's been declared dead. So he goes to the bank and they're like, "Oh, your account's on hold because you're dead."
That's pretty good.
It's like, "Well, I'm not dead." It's like, "Well, you're gonna have to get a form filled out." And so and then you go back and forth to all of these different offices, like trying to get the right form, and then there's a form to get the form, and it's just, yeah, it's pretty funny.
Bloodworth, the thing that I run into with a lot of Western RPGs, I think I ran into it with Pillars of Eternity, is I'll play through the base game and I'll really enjoy it. I'll love it so much, but because the games are so long, like the thought of playing through DLC or an expansion, if it's just more of that, I just feel like I need to take a little bit of a break, or like as soon as I get done with the main game, I can't hop right back in. Do you think each, like Hearts of Stone feels different enough from the base game, and Blood and Wine feels different enough from Hearts of Stone and the base game, that you don't really run into that fatigue issue?
I think so. I mean, that's the thing. That's the biggest thing that surprised me, and it's just that sense of like, oh, I'm doing a whole new thing now. I'm in a new place. I've got new characters to work with. There's just a completely different tone to how everything is going down. And there, obviously there's still the kind of the core elements of what makes the franchise what it is. That things aren't always what they appear to be, and that there's these gray areas with choice and all of that. But that's still like it does a really good job of making that feel fresh. And then there's still things that I'm going back and trying to find. There's actually a whole new mechanic that they added that I didn't even know about until after I'd finished the review, and I was like exploring. I was like, oh, like what? There's this huge fortress, and there's like dudes everywhere that I have to fight, and like I like clear this bandit camp, and it was not a thing that they had in the main game, not a thing they had in previous expansion. They just introduced it for this. And
you didn't even get to it during the review.
I didn't even
That's
get to
crazy.
it during the 40 hours of the review process.
When I looked at kind of the initial batch of Blood and Wine screenshots, this is a very simple thing, but I was surprised at just how blatantly they use color to like a really cool degree. Like there were just people like I don't know what they were doing, but they were like in these colorful vats. There was like purple and yellow and stuff, and it was like it looked so striking and different from anything else I had ever seen in The Witcher. And it looks like the town, the main town, I don't know what it's called in Blood and Wine, it's just like kind of a pleasure to walk
Beauclair is the main town.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it's like you go, you kind of go from like the palace and like the really rich areas, and then you kind of go down the hill and things get, more and more, like with the peasants and stuff. But it still has that color, that different vibe. It has that sort of Italian or Spanish or French vibe to it. And then just the amount of detail that I was impressed with just like walking around one of the vineyards, and you see all of the different workers, like just people like doing carpentry, people making barrels, like people like getting into the vats and stomping on the grapes, people picking the grapes, just like every little job that you could think of that would happen in a vineyard. Like there is somebody there doing it. And then I went back later and I found them around a bonfire dancing. I'm like, this is hilarious. I didn't even expect that. They're like all these people that have been working all day are just going to party it up at night.
Sure. Besides Blood and Wine, which I know is kind of a mountain to climb, has there been anything else that you've been looking at?
I just finished my full playthrough of Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom.
It's cheating.
What's that?
It's cheating. You were streaming it.
So, okay.
Okay.
How's that cheating? You can watch more and find out more, but I never played the game.
It's like
I never played the game before.
What have you been playing on your free time is what the purpose of this is.
I think I've got free time?
Yeah, I think you got free time.
My free time is in the chat and the forums.
All right, that's true.
And watching your streams. But yeah, no, it was a cool game. Like I think the solid sevens, the mid sevens was the right place for that to be. There were definitely some awkward things. Like even the last boss battle, like there was just some very simple thing that wasn't. It's like the character kept yelling at me. It's like you got to do this, you got to do this. And I'm like I don't. What do you want me to do? It's like, oh, you want me to interact with that differently than I've interacted with any other object in the environment. Thank you for that. So, it's like a lot of these little clunky things, and like the lock on for like when you want to have somebody like Z targeted or whatever. You have to hold like L1 and R1 buttons on the Xbox controller. So it's like really funky to like do that and then try to like move around. So just weird little things like that can get you. But in terms of the game itself, it's got a lot of charm. It's got some weird bad voice acting. You talk to all these animals and they have like the most ridiculous accents. A lot of people were saying that Kyle did all the voices. They were convinced. But and then like all the powers that he gets, you get from like these fruit that you pick up. And there's this hilarious animation of like you wiggling the fruit to like break it free, and so like me and Brandon like turned it into a song and dance thing. Like any time there was a fruit to pick, we would like wiggle it off and just but yeah, very very cool game. More or less like a Zelda-ish type of game.
Was Ocarina of Time the first game with Z targeting? Mario 64.
It's the one that made it count. Yeah,
That's why we call it Z targeting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Blood, I have to ask,
pretty
when you could stream anything, Majin the Forsaken Kingdom seems like a pretty random choice.
It's one of those things that's been sitting on my shelf for who knows how many years.
Me too. Like, when you started playing it, I was like, oh man, I never got to that game.
Yeah, I'm just curious about it.
Yeah. Blood We're Swimming in Sevens. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Good vibes.
Does it end with hopes for a sequel?
No, it really doesn't.
Cool.
So.
It knows the truth.
It knows.
And then I don't have enough to say about it because I've really played just the amount that I played at E3, but I just started Song of the Deep.
Nice.
So I'll have a review for that on the way.
Nice.
The one thing I will say that stands out to me now compared to just playing it on the show floor is just the music.
Sure.
It's just really easy. Just like let me just lean back and be in this space for a bit.
So do I have to go to GameStop to buy that game?
I mean, there's digital available, so I would think
cool.
not. Yeah.
Cool. All right, sweet.
Physical from GameStop only.
Right.
That'd be so crazy.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's the only way to get physical. Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Michael Hubert, last
Yeah.
but certainly not least, I always expect something wild from you. What do you got for me?
Goaty contender.
Oh.
SteamWorld Heist.
Okay.
So good.
No, I believe
The
you.
problem is it technically came out last
I
year.
know. That whole technicality
It's
thing.
gonna get snubbed.
Although if it's sort of up to us how we gauge the rules. I think at GT we didn't actually include it because it came out too late.
I think I got it nominated for best handheld.
I think it
Do
did,
you?
yeah.
Not sure.
Hubert,
I tried.
I think it might have been too late.
Hubert, I feel like SteamWorld Heist is a game that you go and you read reviews and everyone's like, oh, this is great, but
Yeah.
it's still not getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Do a public service. You love it. You think it's a go-to contender.
It's so good. It's a couple hundred years after SteamWorld Dig.
Wow.
This is another phenomenal game. I love these guys. It's Image and Form, I think.
Nice.
But SteamWorld Heist, I was a little concerned when I first saw it because I loved SteamWorld Dig so much. And it's that apprehension of like, whoa, they're changing it. Like, I love SteamWorld Dig. Like, this looks so different. And now I'm glad it's so different. It's turn-based strategy, and you have like your ragtag group of pirate, robot, space pirate people, and you're at war with like the Imperial Army, and they're kind of like, you know, treating the steam robots like dirt and taking all their mining money, and so it's basically like rebelling against them. And then this like third party comes.
A third party.
Always a third party.
Love a third party.
Similar to SteamWorld Dig, kind of a third party situation. Don't want to spoil that.
It's a 2D strategy game.
2D, yeah, 2D, and it's like grid based. You have orange and blue movement. So blue is like sprint. So if you sprint really far, it takes up your entire turn. So you really want, it's all about positioning, but then when you attack, you aim. And you can choose which attack you want, and like you get different items, different weapons. You're constantly getting loot, but not too much.
It's
like
it's
very
side
balanced
scrolling
loot.
though, right?
Yeah. So it'll put you into like a big room, and there's like fog of war until you go into another room. So you're like progressing through these rooms.
But you're like docking into ships.
You're docking into ships. You're docking into like floating oil drill barrack things.
You do your
and-
business and then you get out of there.
Yeah.
I like that too.
And some missions are different. Like it'll be like, all right, go kill that person, go
Yeah.
rescue that person, or go just
Get that treasure.
get the loot.
Plunder.
Yeah, and XP only goes for the people you bring into the mission. So I love games like that where you have to like use kind of everyone or just focus and like build up your main trio. Like I have the guy that's like constantly lifting a dumbbell.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Melee damages.
Yeah.
But it has so much charm. It has just enough story for me to really get on board with every character. There's always, every time you come back from a mission, there's like banter between the crew. There's shops, you gain money. One of the things I love is that it autosaves, and if you fail a mission, you lose half your money. So there's no save scumming. So it's high stakes.
Nice.
Oh god.
Really like that.
When I played it just very, very briefly a long time ago, something that I liked was somewhat similar to Valkyria Chronicles. Like when you target a dude, you actually have to aim.
Yeah.
And depending on how well you aim, you know, that'll determine how much damage you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that always seemed like a neat thing. And it was, it used the 2D environment to its advantage because you could like ricochet
Yep.
bullets off of things and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And that is really cool.
It's cool because the laser sight guns are really good. They do a little less damage, but you can really line up a shot. And there's like
You
explosives.
can bounce it 3 times.
Yeah,
before
like
you,
bing, bing,
yeah.
bing.
Yeah.
There's explosives, which can do friendly fire, but they do AoE damage. So there's a lot of nuance to the combat.
And different classes. Not everyone can wield the big explosive guns. Not
Different
everybody-
classes.
yeah.
There's one that like every time they get hit, they do more damage on their next attack. The leader can like inspire their troops. If you come up next to her, they do more damage, and then she can like heal them.
That.
Which is clutch, actually.
So yeah, it gets really tough.
unlike other strategy games that I've played too, it's all very readable. Like you said, there's all this stuff you can do. There are all these things, this nuance that you can dig into. But like when I was playing it, I never struggled with like, okay, how do I accomplish these things, or what does this stuff mean that the game is telling me?
Super inviting.
Yeah.
You can change the difficulty on any mission.
Nice.
Missions last like 5 to 10 minutes. You can do 1 or 2 at a time. So I love it. I'm in love with it. SteamWorld Dig I came to late also. It was on 3DS. I waited till the PS4. Same with this. I'm just loving those games.
Definitely.
So, and then I played briefly Mirror's Edge. I'm not that far into it, but it feels kind of lifeless.
Yep.
Like Mirror's Edge is such a missed opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
could be such a cool world. Like, I keep thinking of Syndicate, which is like mediocre game, but at least Syndicate really goes for the world building and like.
You mean the more recent Syndicate?
Yeah.
Okay.
The like EA 2013 one maybe or 2012.
Right.
Yeah. Like Mirror's Edge just feels like a shell of a world.
I don't think the characters are very likable in
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah. So.
But it's fun running around the city.
Yeah.
Like there's some joy to be had there for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to talk about it. There's one game that I want to talk about really quickly, and I don't like to do this. I like to keep Frame Trap good vibes as much as I can, but you know sometimes that's just not the case. Mighty Number 9 is a game that I played through, and I don't ever want to play again.
Oh no.
You know, we've talked kind of about the delays and the complicated issues that Mighty Number 9 had during its development, but just focusing on the final product, it's hard for me to imagine somebody out there who was like, okay, I want the spiritual successor to Mega Man. I want this to continue that style of game in a really, really cool way, being satisfied at all. And I think the way to start this conversation is just how the game is presented. Like, very rarely, I feel like, do I say this about a game, the way it looks and animates and how voice lines are delivered, like all of it, it's never good. It's never even like approaching mediocre. Everything looks like trash. Like when something explodes, when you see a new ability, when you get a new outfit, like characters will be talking to each other and it'll just be this ugly little round face that doesn't move, and they'll deliver their lines so painfully slow that it's like, have you ever been reading a book and you're really tired and you suddenly snap out of it and you realize that like you've been kind of reading unconsciously and you're like a page ahead but you don't remember anything that happened? That happens with Mighty Number 9. Like a cutscene will end and you'll be like, oh, because you'll just kind of there's no craft to it, and because of that lack of craft, like even if you're actively trying to pay attention, I feel like you just sort of drift away from it. Kyle, you played a little bit. Am I being unfair?
No, I bought this game because I thought I'll turn this into a Bossman at Home episode where I finally tear this game apart.
Yeah.
I couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
Not even for the episode, not even for a show. I just like I can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I spent $15 on that game. It's like I hate you. I hate you dumb game.
Wow.
And I think the other thing that's really a bummer is I feel like the few ideas that Mighty Number 9 has like amount to nothing. Like it's a game that just amounts to nothing in a lot of ways, because the part of it is when you damage enemies to a certain point, they'll change a certain color, like red or green or yellow. And when you absorb them, depending on the color, you get a temporary buff. So if it's green, you'll move a little bit faster. If it's red, you'll do a little bit more damage. And if it's yellow, you'll get more defense. But it's like, it's not that it's completely useless. I wouldn't say that. But the buff doesn't last all that long, and it's a minor thing.
You don't feel it.
You don't feel it.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of do it, and it just kind of happens. You're like, I just kind of have this buff. There's no celebration to it. Like, and comparing the two might be a little bit unfair, but bear with me. Like in Bayonetta, you do witch time all the time, but like the way that it's presented, when you do it, when you hit that trigger and you do that dodge, it feels good.
I've never felt so badass in a game.
Right. And there's just none of that joy or celebration in Mighty Number 9 when you're getting those temporary abilities. And for the most part, like I understand that it's trying to appeal to those Mega Man sensibilities, but I feel like for most of that game, it's just like, here's the fire level. Here's the ice level. Here are the bosses that do things exactly how you expect them to. Whereas something like a Shovel Knight, it's definitely evocative of those old NES games. But like there were so many things in Shovel Knight where I'm like, oh, that's a crazy idea. Like I didn't see that in those older games. And the couple of times that Mighty Number 9 tries to do that is there's this highway level where there's not really a stage. You're just kind of jumping between cars and trucks. That would be cool, except despite this game looking terrible, it has frame rate issues and it's like stuttering, and so there should be like the sense of speed or like the sense of danger as you're jumping between cars, but because of like the weird performance issues, it just doesn't work. There's another one where you see the boss right away in the stage or in this Capitol building, and he's sniping you. And his bullet, like you see the red laser sight, and it will like bend around and bounce on the walls, and you have to dodge his shots while you try to find him, because he'll bounce from place to place. And it's a cool idea, but it's a cool idea that goes on for like way too long. And by the end of the stage, you're just like, okay, let's just get on with it. And like Mega Man 2 was the first game I ever played, and so those games are near and dear to my heart. I really loved Mega Man Legends. I've heard great things about Battle Network. I love the Mega Man X series, and I just feel absolutely nothing. Like I can't even, like you said that you hated it. I can't even bring myself to hate it. Like I just finished
worse
it.
than brutal.
Yeah,
It's worse than
I just finished it and I felt empty. Like like you've been like, as somebody who's a fan of Mega Man, I feel like I'd been waiting for that meal, and I went to the restaurant and I ordered, and it's like I might as well have walked out with nothing. You know, like I paid my bill, but I didn't get anything.
Thinking back, I think it might be $20. I don't think it's 15.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think that was a 20. That was a pizza.
Wow.
This whole pizza.
Ben, can I talk about one more thing really quick?
Oh, of course.
Whoa.
Dude. Yeah.
I've been waiting to just, it's been like bottled up inside
Oh,
me.
please,
Because
especially.
I'm obsessed right now with Uncharted 4 multiplayer.
Whoa.
I am reaching like new, like Counter-Strike in its prime 1.4 of levels of obsession right now.
You are invoking something that I don't know if I'm ready to handle.
Like I thought I loved this game, and then they just came out with the huge patch that like added a ton of stuff, changed a bunch of stuff, balanced a bunch of stuff, and now I cannot stop playing. In an era when there are so many, dare I say, too many video games,
Yeah.
and we're always moving on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, all I want to do is play Uncharted 4 multiplayer.
A big thing that you were talking to me in the early days of your Uncharted 4 multiplayer was the good vibes, that it just felt good to
Yeah.
play. Is that still kind of the driving force for you?
Yeah, it is very intense when you do ranked. Like the way the ladders are set up are just really, you really feel like you're part of a season. Whereas like StarCraft 2, I think of, did like, okay, you're in the league, you're in bronze, silver, gold, platinum, whatever, you're just climbing up. This is like you win points with your team, or if your team loses, you lose points. And then you can get demoted, but then to get promoted, you need to win like 2 out of 3 matches. So every time you play a ranked multiplayer match, it just is, it feels like such high stakes, but it also feels inviting. Like you can just hop in. It's just so much fun.
Have you had any issues with the community at all? Any jerks on a headset spouting nonsense, anything like that?
No, I haven't heard a lot of English though.
Okay.
So they could be talking shit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people from other countries where I don't know what they're saying.
Cool. Sure.
But
But it's not bothering. Like it's
Yeah.
because you can't understand. It's not hurting your experience.
and when you do ranked, you feel like part of a community because your team needs to win. So you have to play as a team. If you do ranked multiplayer, like if you get revived, the other team doesn't get a point. So like people are wanting to revive you.
Yeah.
They want to be supportive. The patch added support features, like you can give your teammate items now. So it's just so good.
You're really concerned about those shotguns.
Shotguns are still not very good. Quentin brought up a really good point. He asked me, he's like, do you like getting killed by a shotgun in multiplayer? And I'm like, no. He's like, exactly. You know, people just don't like Gears of War. You know, you run in there, people are just coming up like bam, bam. It's like you don't stand a chance.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just super into it. If you want to play, at Michael P. Huber, send me your tag. playing with some allies in there.
I like it.
I saw you send out that tweet.
Yeah.
Did people respond? And
Yes.
Cool.
I haven't
Nice.
played with anyone yet, but I added a bunch of people, and I just haven't seen them on yet.
Gonna have a
Very, very cool.
league.
Yeah,
of
like, I'm
Uncharted
ready to
4
go.
players.
I'm ready to play. I'm ready to climb the ladders.
Unfortunately, just like the last episode, we are a little bit scrunched for time, and I kind of have an elaborate thing to do next, but keep the time in mind as we're doing this segment.
All right.
So it's we've reached that point on the show, and I'm really excited about this. There hasn't been that much in gaming that's really gotten my attention. I do want to talk about Pokemon Go on the show at some point, but I haven't really been able to like properly play that or dig into it, and so I don't feel like I have any meaningful things.
Yeah, I've
to say
just
yet.
seen photos. I haven't played it myself.
I hate it,
Chris-
so I'll be
Kristen's-
happy to not be there for that episode.
Oh, but I want that. I want the perspective. I want
boy.
the hate.
Kristen said a Pikachu was in an army base, so she she was gonna hop the fence, but there was like an army base, so she couldn't go get it or something.
On the Bombcast, they mentioned that like the developer's last game, Ingress, like people would set up traps, like actual traps, because it was like faction v faction, and like attempt to like injure others so they couldn't reach that point to like get an advantage in the game or something like that.
And this, you can't battle people though, directly. I
Right.
can't battle you.
Sure.
I couldn't do anything nearly as cool as that.
Okay.
Wait, would you want to set up traps for human beings?
Yes.
Okay.
Of
Yes.
course, Kyle would.
Yeah.
I don't want to elaborate on that anymore. All right, let's go in. Let's go into the next segment. It is time for. So I was looking at the games that are coming out, confirmed coming out, definitely like have a date for 2016. And we always get a little bit of this every year, I think, but I think this year is especially distinct where we have a lot of games that are either finally coming out after years and years and years of developer turmoil, or they're sequels that are kind of a turning point for their respective franchise. Either we've been waiting for them for a while, or it's like it's a new start, or there's some twist to it that makes it very, very different. And so what I want to do is, the way that I've thought about this is, all of you, these 6 games, you're all Katana experts. So you know what a quality blade is. And you say to those around you, you get your fame in your village by being able to look at a blade inside of a sheath, and you can just tell how sharp it is. So these 6 games, pretend that there are blades in their sheath, and I put them in a glass box. Mm-hmm. And you're going to tell me cut or no cut. And cut is good, okay?
It's a sharp blade.
Sharp blade. No cut is bad. And here's what I want your cut, no cut criteria to consist out of. Mm-hmm. So basically with the cut, no cut, if you say cut, you think that these games will live up to expectations, that they will be generally well received. And what I mean by generally well received is these are the 3 components. They'll be critically well liked. They will sell well, like relatively meeting expectations. And number 3, they will meet your own personal expectations, your own personal values. And so you have to use all 3 of those when you decide cut or no cut.
Great game. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit too elaborate for the time we have, but we're going to do the best that we have. I actually cut a game from this list, but the one we're going to start out with is No Man's Sky. And for this game, you can either start with the cut or no cut, or you can go into the explanation and give me the cut or no cut at the end. Michael Huber, I'm going to start with you on No Man's Sky. Why?
It's everything I've seen so far is exciting, and I can't take credit for this, but I read, what magazine was this? I read it in a recent magazine. It wasn't PC Gamer. Maybe PC Gamer? Is No Man's Sky on PC?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I think it was PC Gamer. They're talking about how like you can't hope to interact with anyone, right? Because it did it in math. It said if there are this many planets and this many people are concurrently playing, you have 0.0000001% chance of ever stumbling upon someone. Mm-hmm. But then we've heard that the game is all about getting to the center of the universe.
Right.
So my mind was just started spinning with these ideas of like, what if the center of the universe, there's only a few planets, and all these people from those quintillion planets are converging, and when you get to the center, all of a sudden like trade and commerce and interaction like sprouts up. So if a game can make me dream as much as No Man's Sky has, like, I'm all in.
But you believe they can do it.
And I believe they can do it.
You think with what they've shown and what they've said. Okay, cool.
And because if you do anything out of love versus business, chances are for the best that it's going to come out ahead. And Sean Murray is doing this game out of love.
I really like everything you just said, Huber.
So.
Blood. Cut, no cut.
So the 3 criteria are sales,
Reviews,
and just my personal opinion.
Yes, and I think for this, if you think it might fail in one regard, if it makes up for it in another regard, like that, you can kind of have that balance each other out. It doesn't necessarily have to be a smashing success in all 3. Those are just the criteria that I kind of want you to frame your argument around.
Yeah, I think with those criteria, I think I will go with cut. I think that it will be a very different game. I think the challenge comes really with expectations, and I think that's where the stumble could be. But it's not part of those criteria where there are a lot of people that have certain expectations, and then like because of that they'll have this backlash that's not warranted. But I think the game itself, I think it will hold up. I think it will be a very different experience. I think that it will capture enough people to have good sales and will get good critical reviews. But I do think there will be this edge to it that we're always sort of seeing, to where, there are these weird expectations that people have that like it just couldn't live up to, or that even if it really does, then like they won't give it the credit for that. So there's this strange kind of the difference between reality and perception kind of thing.
I like that.
What's the date on that?
August 9th?
Ooh, that's real soon.
Oh man, it is really
No Man's Sky.
Kyle Bossman.
This is a cut. I think it will not review well. I think it definitely, there will be good reviews. I don't think it's going to be great across the board. I think sales wise, it makes me nervous as retail. It'll do better than Tearaway, but it'll be a success. I don't think it's going to go huge. It won't do better than Bloodborne. And personally, I've never touched it. I have very low expectations for it. I think I'm going to love this game. I think I'm just going to love flying around in a spaceship.
Yeah.
Do you like that you know nothing about it? Because I know that's
It's
frustrating
intentional.
some people.
No.
Okay.
For me, this was an intentional choice.
You said that you think the reviews are going to be divided. Do you think that speaks to Blower's point that the different reviews will be the result of different expectations?
Yeah, reviewers can't wait to tear this thing apart.
Oh, I hate that though. I hate that. I hate reading those types of reviews.
Yeah.
You can't there's no objective. You just gather. You just go on a planet and you gather.
If I read a review that says, by the end, I wondered what the point was, I might, I don't know. I might. Burst of Blood Vessel.
I want to review it, Ben, and somehow put that in.
But in like
a positive
way,
context.
I gotcha. Just for the sake of time, I think I also there are some of these that I do want to talk about.
Go fast though.
There are some of these that I personally want to comment on, but for No Man's Sky, I think a lot of you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't really have a lot else to say. I'm also going to say it's a cut. We're going to move on to Dishonored 2. And I think Dishonored, the reason I put Dishonored 2 on here is it has been a while since the first game. And that first game was one of those rare instances where they had a new IP that kind of just blew up and got really, really big. And it's one of those games where I feel like the sequel could either cement the legacy or make people look back on their first one and go, actually, it wasn't all that great. And so I think it's an interesting spot. Blood, I'm going to start with you on this one. Cut or no cut?
It's a sword in a sheath. You don't have to start with a cut or no cut.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, it's tricky because what's odd to me is I feel like in terms of like sort of the social narrative, I feel like Dishonored always had like this really good buzz and like a lot of people liked it. And then for some reason this past few months, as we've been starting to talk a little bit more about Dishonored 2, there's been like this other faction of people that have been coming out and is like, I can't stand Dishonored kind of thing. And I'm like, whoa.
Divinity.
Where did that come from? Yeah. So it's really tricky for me. And I think the sales might be the place where it really struggles. I think that it could be a really good game, and I think that it could have some mostly positive reviews. But I think maybe no cut, because I think that with everything else that's happening right now, that it's just not capturing people's imaginations the way the first game did.
Yeah. Okay. Kyle Bossman.
This is an easy no cut. I'm taking this one off the shelf. I'm taking it back to whatever sword master created this sword and said, try again. This is a no cut. This sword will not cut a thing. It won't cut noodles.
That's a bad sword.
This game will review well. Reviewers will love it. I don't think that I'm into it. I don't think I'll be into this game. I don't think it will sell well. I think that what they showed at E3 was not impressive. I think it was simply not impressive. When I think back to the presentation, I think of the last thing they showed was, and now we're going to show you something really cool. This is the one level where you don't have your powers, but you have this weird time mechanic. And it was unimpressive. And it was like, that was them showing off the best thing that they thought would wow people. And it wasn't there. And so, yeah, I don't think this game is going to, drop jaws. And, it's not going to cut. Reviewers are going to love it, though. Wait till you see all the 9s across the board for this thing.
The reviewer shade is great coming from you. I love it. I really do. That's not a sarcastic comment. Michael Huber.
E3 dehyped me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I adore Dishonored 1. That game is so beautiful. It is so good. But right now, the sword wielder has his coat over the sheath. I cannot see the sheath or the blade. I am looking into his eyes, but they are just red with fire. So I do not know.
But you have to, the people are relying on you. They need to defend their village with these swords, and you're out of time. You have to make a call.
No cut.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say no cut.
It's for the good of the village, Hubert.
Can I add one more
E3
thing
just killed me. It
that I think
killed
plays
me.
into this?
Yeah.
I admire Dishonored on a mechanical level.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I really don't care about the world or the characters at all.
And it's so frustrating because there's a good look to it. Like there's a style to it, but anytime they try to fill in those holes, it never really resonated with me.
Yeah, like even that whole what was it? The outsider guy. I'm like, who are you?
If you play the
oh yeah.
If you play the DLC, the 2-part Dodd thing with the witches,
right?
I heard the DLC was great.
So much such awesome world stuff.
I gotta say, I think the domino power is stupid.
Domino?
Yeah, it's the one where if you connect this ability to this guy and then kill this guy, the other guy dies too, or anything you do to him.
Right.
I'm just super bummed they didn't do exactly what they did with Dishonored 1, the presentation. We're gonna go at it this way and this way.
Sure. Yeah,
that's the strength of the game, and I think they missed it. I don't know. I'm nervous.
I was really not expecting the uniform answers that we've gotten so far, but I'm also going to go with no cut. And I love Dishonored 1. I have no shame in saying that. But what I liked about Dishonored 1 in the sense that I got is, there's you can compare Dishonored to other games. You can compare it to Deus Ex. You can make some Hitman comparisons, but it really felt like it had a lot of ideas. Like the style of its world, its tone, its powers, and the way that it utilized them. Like there was a lot of creativity there, and what I was so afraid of with Dishonored 2 when they showed that CGI trailer is this is just more of that. Mm-hmm. Like, I was terrified that they were going to be like, all right, we're going to show off this game, and here are some new powers. And that's pretty much what they did at E3. It's like, yep, this is Dishonored, and here are some new things that you can do. And that's just not exciting to me at all. Like, I want something deeper. I want something more exciting. I want to feel like I did when I was watching those early videos of the first game, and I'm not getting that so far. for sure. Next one, I'm most excited to do this one, but I think I know what the result is going to be. Final Fantasy 15.
Cut.
All right, go ahead.
This is our swiftest sword on the shelf. This thing will tear down armies single-handedly.
Mm-hmm.
Put the sword in your hands and nothing can stop you. This will be one of the greats.
This is like a legendary sword.
This is a legendary
Like an
sword.
Unbreakable sword. Okay. You totally believe in this game. There's been some worry here and there, especially with the Microsoft showing, and that has not dulled your enthusiasm for this blade at all.
No.
Tell me why.
Maybe it's because I don't pay attention to the trailers. I'm pretty media blackout on this game.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the team. I believe in the vision. I believe in how much Square Enix believes in this game. I believe that they've learned from their mistakes. I believe this won't be 13. And I believe that video games are just better when things like this exist. I just like, this game is going to... It just fills its own part of this whole, of this existence of video games. And even if you hate 15, it's just doing this thing that nothing else is doing.
When you say that, do you mean like the ability to wow, where you're just gonna have those scenes and those moments where you're like, oh my god, like just the way in which they're doing this and the way it's presented is unlike anything else? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique game. It's a road trip story about 4 dudes, but it's a fantasy story at the same time, and it's just the demo episode Duske. Just playing that it was one of my favorite games of that year. I just loved that. I loved the behemoth and how real that behemoth felt when you're trying to hide from it, and eventually you summon Ramu to kill it, and just the point from there to there, and just if there's more of that, if the entire game is episode Duske, like it's just going to be great. It's going to be a great video game.
I am also going to say cut, which I think is going to surprise some people.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, but I think there's some reasons for that, and it's a lot. Part of it is what Michael Huber said. I believe in Tabata. I've been really reading a lot of interviews that guy's doing, and he doesn't like the way that they talked about 13 pre-release. It made you worried based on their tone. It's like these guys are disconnected with their audience and what their audience wants, and they're just in there doing their own thing.
They told us it was going to be one of the greats.
Right.
They said, this is one of the greats. Don't worry about
right.
it. Right.
where I feel like with Tabata, there's this sense of humility. There's this sense of understanding what the problems are. And honestly, this is a weird thing to say, but there's a sense of exhaustion. I feel like this man is giving every part of his being into making this game good. And he doesn't feel like this weird, vague game director. He feels like a person when he talks. And that's the kind of person I want behind Final Fantasy. I realize that's not the most concrete thing. But my other piece of evidence that I do think is more concrete is I downloaded and played the Platinum demo right after the Uncovered event. Like, I sped home to play it, and I got through it, and I felt kind of underwhelmed. I didn't get the combat. It wasn't clicking for me. But there were 2 important items that I didn't get that were hidden away. The chakra and the shield.
Yes.
And I went back a couple of weeks ago, and I messed with those items, and realized how great it felt to parry something with the shield and counter it, and I really dug into the combat system to the point where I felt competent at it, and I understood what they were going for, and I was like, no, this can feel great. Like, if they can do a decent job of presenting what makes it so cool to players, I really think there's something there where it still feels Final Fantasy, but it is kind of like a really fun, really awesome action game that maybe doesn't control how you would expect, but controls well in its own way that is pretty cool once you kind of wrap your head around it. So I'm optimistic based on those 2 factors. Michael Huber.
Cut. Such an easy cut. Like, it's kind of like what Kyle said. This is video games. This is going into a world and just exploring. That's all I want to do. Like, I'm going to lose myself in Final Fantasy 15. Mm-hmm. Even if some of the mechanics don't shape up in time for release, like the combat, you said it was better when you went back and got those items.
Yeah.
I only played the Platinum demo a little bit, and the combat was a little weird.
Sure.
But I mean, I feel the same way about Witcher 3, and it's one of the greatest video games I've ever played. So I'm just so excited to explore this world.
Daniel Bloodworth.
I might go with no cut.
Okay, I like it. I want some disagreements. Yeah.
I think I think the sales will be fine. They may still not hit whatever crazy number Square Enix wants, but they always overestimate, and then a couple months later it's like, oh, we got enough now, when it sells more later. But I feel like critics will likely punish it for
sure.
Being a game that's taken so long.
And story.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna be so mean about the story.
4 dudes
Yeah.
in a car.
Yeah.
Can't wait to read about that.
People will
We're
have
having a
punishment.
review, we'll use the phrase
And then on the personal level, I'm still not as sold as I want to be. Like, I feel like a lot of the things in terms of like I know like it's not the best representation of the game, but like the Titan fight just sort of felt to me like evidence of we're going to have this really big thing because it's good to have a really big thing and cool to have a really big thing, even if it doesn't mechanically play out as well as it should,
Sure.
So, which I also kind of felt, like was sort of a weak point with Scalebound.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, here's this really big thing. It's like, well, why do I care that it's really big, And so I don't want to be, slapping at something's toenail. I just don't.
Yeah.
Unless you're Kratos and you rip Kronos's... Never mind.
But I feel like God of War does a good job of showing you why it's exciting, where maybe that Titan demo didn't. Yeah,
Right.
totally.
Yeah. So, and then the combat, I need to play around with it more, but I'm still just not sure like what it is in there that I'm supposed to be taking from it, and I also just sort of what I've said before about sort of the look and feel of it, like it's sort of, I don't know, like I feel like I'm looking at like what they're trying to do with the engine and the textures more than like it all coming together in a kind of a seamless way.
Mm-hmm. You feel like when you look at it, you're more aware of that stuff.
The gaminess of it, yeah.
Yeah, I really want that story to come together, Ben. I'm really scared. Like, open world, same thing with Witcher.
Yeah.
Like, if you go off and you do all those side things, you know, the main story is like, we gotta stop this guy now! Okay, how about a round of Gwent? How about I go help this guy, like, pour some water into a well? It's like, make me care about the main storyline. Make it urgent.
So something I want to say that also factored in my cut thing, but I did not bring it up, is they're showing Kingsglaive in Japanese theaters right now, and there's been a lot of positive buzz. And if you kind of extrapolate that a little bit, you have a movie, you don't have a battle system to fall back on. You don't have a world to fall back in the same way. Like the driving force of a movie is the story and the characters. And if people are walking away and saying that's good, that hopefully translates well to the game. Because I think if the game didn't give them anything, that you wouldn't be hearing positive impressions in the same way. So definitely, it's not a 1-to-1 there. You can't say because people enjoy this movie, people enjoy the story in the game. But I don't think it's a bad sign. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've probably been selling it wrong. It's not 4 dudes on a road trip. It's a prince whose kingdom is under attack.
4 brothers.
Yeah.
But the relationship between those 4 people is a focal point.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Blood, I really liked that. That was good.
Don't be afraid for nerd cuts.
Yeah, that was good. One that I do think we might be a little divisive on is Gears of War 4. And I'm going to go first on this one. I think it's going to be a cut. I think the whole Marcus Phoenix son thing is going to be terrible. I think there's going to be a lot of forced drama that doesn't resonate at all. And I don't think I'm going to care. I think it's going to be a well-designed third-person shooter that I am just laughing at the entire time in a good way. I think I'm going to get ridiculous weapons in ridiculous situations, and it's going to feel fantastic, and it's going to look fantastic, and I think that's going to work over for viewers. I think it's going to work. I think the Xbox One needs a game like that. I think it might kind of fill that spot that maybe Halo 5 didn't, and I think as a result it's going to sell well, especially since it's coming to PC as well. So I think it's a cut for me. Daniel Bloodworth.
I think I'll go no cut.
Okay.
Just from my impressions at E3, it's like it was solid. Like the mechanics and everything were still there. There's stuff you expect from Gears, but I think that's the thing. Is it felt like what I expected from Gears and not much more. It's like, okay,
Sure.
here's a cool new weapon.
Wait, did you actually play it?
And then I actually played it.
Okay, so I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, here's a cool new weapon, but then in practice it's kind of a little weird and tricky to use, which makes sense because like you don't.
gun?
Yeah. because you don't want it to be overpowered. But it, you know, it's like, oh, it's like, let me use this, and like, oh wait, it's kind of stuck on this wall a little bit. Let me get it. Oh, okay, no, it's not going quite where I wanted it. You know, and I'm just like wasting ammo and getting shot while I'm trying to figure out the new gun. But I mean, that's just learning. But yeah, just overall, it was like it has a little bit of a different vibe, but not enough to really like get me excited. And yeah, I guess I don't know. It's a lot of it just felt like reskinning things. It's like, well, instead of emergence holes, we've got like these pods, you know, and like we've got these other pods that, you know, will drop down from the ceiling that have like, you know, people metamorphosizing in them, and that you can use those as cover. And it just I don't know. It felt like sort of more of the same, but you know, just reskin in a couple of different ways, and then with a different tone. Although I did like that tone. I think having something that feels a little bit more horrifying is something that Gears needs to have.
Sure. Kyle Bossman.
I was gonna say cut. Swordmaster Bloodworth has me rethinking what I'm doing here.
He did the same for me.
Oh no. All right. You know what? After I look at that hilt a little closer, no, I'll stick with cut.
Ooh.
You know what?
The swings.
It'll make a man bleed. The blade will make a man bleed. It will cut. It will break skin.
Okay.
It will review okay. I think reviewers are going to be mean to this game too. I think that it will sell well. I think that currently Xbox exclusive games are selling well. They're still doing it. They're not making the kind of sales they were with like Halo 5, right? Like we're selling Halo, but the fan base supports it. There's still a huge Xbox One fan base, and I think they will support this game as well. Personally, I think it's going to be what I already assumed it was going to be, and so I don't. It can't hurt me. It can't disappoint me.
Right.
And so, yeah, when Marcus Phoenix said, "Hey there, son, I'm still alive," like, yeah, sure, of course you are. Like, fine, let's have a dramatic conversation. Like, yeah, it can't hurt me. It can't disappoint me. It'll do fine. It'll make a man bleed.
So it may not be a blade that you personally bring into battle, but you recognize the potency of it in the hands of others.
Yes.
Okay. Michael Huber.
I turn the corner in the alleyway,
Oh no.
and I see a man with a blade. I see it, and I say, that blade is part of a pair. The other owner is Bradley Ellis. So it is a cut, baby.
It's a co-op cut.
Yeah.
Gears of War, bold statement. Get ready. Gears of War, the franchise, to me, is the best co-op campaigns. They have the absolute pinnacle of co-op campaigns, going through the story, blasting fools with a buddy. You cannot top it. Even the worst in the franchise, Gears of War Judgment, was still okay with a friend, and now we're back mainline game. So I think Gears of War 4 will be a cut. I love the weather stuff in the demo. I just really hope that they do more separation. Always wanted that out of the other Gears of War. When you separate from your partner, I wanted to take it one step further and cut the mics. I've been calling for this since Gears of War 2. Separate the players and cut the mic. Like, let me not communicate with my friend. We're like in two different parts of the cave.
What if I can like still see you and like send you a flashlight sometimes?
That'd be awesome. Something like that.
Yeah.
Let's take co-op to another level, Gears of War. Like, if anyone can do it, it's them.
I totally agree with you. I think with the type of Gears of War, the type of game Gears of War is and what it's going after, it would never do something that like.
People got mad when Dark Souls cut the mics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
Just for a moment, though. Not completely. I mean, you're together, you're talking to your bud, and then locusts come, you fall down a cave, and you gotta regroup, and it's like, yo, you there? Hello?
This last game we're gonna have to go through really, really quickly.
Okay.
So this is a super small village that they're just having a little bit of bandit trouble, so we can just do a quick evaluation on this one.
Sure.
And I am breaking the rules a little bit. This one doesn't have a definitive date from what I can tell. It's just 2016 at the moment. Recore.
Whoa.
Recore. I wanted to have a little bit of a curveball.
That game is still 2016?
Oh yeah.
That's what it says
Oh, no.
on the quick internet search that I did. So maybe something got announced that I missed, but to the best of my knowledge, it's still 2016. Michael Huber.
Cut.
All right.
Because of what I saw at E3. Prior to this, I didn't really have any hype, expectations, kind of off my radar. Brandon Jones waited in a very long line to play it, and then I met up with him to like go get something from him, and he was like right about to play, and I looked at the screen on the floor of like people playing, and it looked nothing like I had perceived that it actually was. It looked so different. It was really fast, really colorful, looked great in motion. So cut.
I like it. Kyle Bossman.
No cut. This is simply, I'll say, this is my. I wanted this to be the Zelda of Xbox, and it is not.
It's the Mega Man of Xbox, Kyle.
Yeah, it's a lot more platforming, but like bad-looking platforming. The jumps are weird. She's like a skinny woman who does weird jumps. Like skinny women can do great jumps. This one does bad jumps.
Bayonetta jumps with grace.
Yeah. Sorry, I said skinny woman. Why would I do such a thing?
It's what she is. She's she's slim.
Yeah, svelte. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not what I wanted it to be. I don't think it's going to review well. I think it's going to get hit hard for being janky. I don't think it'll sell well. I don't think there's a big interest behind it. There's not a big name behind it. Inafune is not a big name anymore. When you say from the makers of Metroid Prime, it doesn't carry over those things we love from Metroid Prime, so I don't see how that really translates. Yeah, I think it's going to have a real tough time.
Daniel Bloodworth.
I think I'll go with cut.
Okay.
I actually do see the Metroid Prime bits in it. I don't think I'd heard that. Well, maybe I'd forgotten it. But yeah, from when I played the demo, I definitely saw some of those Metroid elements.
What do you see?
There's the bot that has you like slide up the walls and stuff. This is very much like the spider ball in Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the whole switching color mechanic is very much like switching beams in Metroid Prime as well. When you're shooting enemies, and the way that you lock onto enemies and strafe around them.
Z target.
When you finished Metroid Prime, you said the best part of that game was switching my weapons with the.
I'm not saying that that's what but I'm saying that I see those influences.
All right.
Those parts of the game are in there for sure.
Yeah. Samus, really good skinny woman at jumping.
Yeah.
So we're clear.
What about her brother?
Maximus,
No,
also really good
no.
at jumping.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I think I think it may struggle on some of those points, but I think that I think that there's not. I think it fills this niche in the shooter space that like not a lot of games are hitting right now, and I think that'll make it stand out.
I'm gonna go with no cut, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the game. Like I'm just kind of throwing that out the window at the moment because I don't.
It's in the sheath. You can't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. There's that. The other thing is, I don't get the sense that the internet at large understands what that game is.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
had
they've
no
done
idea.
I don't think like that on top of like if you ask the average person what ReCore is, they're gonna say from the makers of Metroid Prime, they're gonna say like I don't think there's like a good clear understanding of this is what makes this game cool and this is why you should play it. And I think that's really gonna hurt it. And I think if it is coming out this year, it might come out at a time where it just gets swallowed by everything else. And I think, unfortunately, those types of games don't do well with reviewers anyway. Like, I don't think 3D platformer exploring games, like, unless they're best in class, you do get things like janky or imprecise or it feels old or just something. And so I don't think it's necessarily going to review really well. I'm going to do no cut. It's time to move on to emails.
Fun game, though. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you. I thank you.
No Last Guardian in there, Ben.
I did have Last Guardian on the list.
Cut.
Cut.
So, yeah, okay, let's just do that. I think we're all cut.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that tells you a lot right there.
Yeah.
If we're all cutting it. Yeah. Last Guardian was on the list, but I cut it because we had to move on. But thank you for that. I was able to call for emails, and a lot of them are really good this week. The one thing that I want to say to people that are writing in, just a quick tip, and I'm not insulting you. I'm not saying like it's necessarily like a bad question on its own, but we get a lot of like, what is your favorite X? And I try to avoid those because I want something that's like out of left field, or it's like you're really bringing something to the table here that's going to spark conversation. So, as much as I appreciate you wanting to get know more about us and our favorite games, or our favorite movies, or our favorite music, try to avoid the "what is your favorite X" sort of format for questions. Our first one comes in from Joseph Appleyard, and he asks, EA Access is going to add Unravel, Need for Speed, and Plants vs. Zombies 2 to their vault.
Garden Warfare 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Garden Warfare 2 or just
Plants, or no, he just says Plants vs. Zombie 2. He does not say
that's a
Garden
different
Warfare
game.
2.
I think it's Garden Warfare, though.
Okay.
Let's double
Yes.
check.
Okay.
I'm on it.
I'm just reading the email.
Yeah. Yep.
It's okay. But what he's getting at is this means members will be able to download these games and have full access to the game. I should point out that EA Access or Origin Access, if you're on PC, is $4.99 a month. We'll be able to download these games and have full access to them. That will give the Vault on Xbox One 24 titles to play in full, and the Vault on Origin 30 games to play. Is EA Access becoming one of the best consumer services out there? Would you like to see other publishers do the same with their games library? Could this be a peek into the future of how games are distributed? So there's a lot there, but I think that the big thing to tackle is EA Access cooler than we thought it was?
It is Garden Warfare 2.
Cool.
I've always had... I at first I thought it was the dumbest idea, but I see consistently humans, defending it in comment sections across the internet. And so it's made me appreciate it.
Yeah.
Regular people just saying, actually, I have it and it's great. And so that's like enough. You don't see that very often. Somebody saying, I got this thing, I'm pay for it every month and I love it. That's a rare thing to see. And so that's pretty cool to me.
Especially, too, if you get, access to Battlefield 1 early.
Right.
I think there's some tie-in where you get, beta access.
You get it a week early.
Yeah, you get it a week early? Battlefield 1?
They change how many days in particular and how long
Yeah.
you get to play. But yeah, usually it's like a week early.
Yeah, that is crazy. So that is the extra perk that kind of sets it apart from a PlayStation Plus or something.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, when I saw the Unravel, that was kind of like this, That's the first time I was like, maybe I should jump into this.
Yeah.
I haven't played Unravel yet. And,
So you actually you might do it.
Yeah, I might. I mean, I'll think about it. We'll see if there's some more that pop in there that I'm like, I really... Because the thing is it's tricky because when you get PlayStation Plus or Xbox One, and this is kind of becoming less the case. But it used to be that a lot of the times those free games would be brand new games. And EA Access, it feels like it's always the stuff's like, okay, well, this isn't selling anymore. Let's try to sell EA Access with this game, since we're not going to make any more money off of it anyways. So they're always pretty much older games, even if it's just 5 or 6 months old, like Unravel and Garden Warfare 2.
Need for Speed is 1 year old. Like that's a good deal.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2
Came
is
out
not
this
even
year,
a year old.
and
Yeah.
it is still thriving.
Yeah, they just had a big update.
Great game.
Our next and unfortunately final email, I will rectify this in the next episode of Frame Trap. I know I've cut the email section short a few times, and so I'll try to make it longer in the next one. We'll get through a bunch of them. But I really like this question. This is a good one to end on. This is from Brian Cos. He says, hello, allies. Something I've noticed in discussions online, particularly from media outlets, is the notion that some styles of games are dated and not worth exploring any further. One example is car combat. When people bring up games like Twisted Metal, it's almost jokingly, as in, yeah, you used to think it was a good idea, but in 2016, we've moved past it. As someone who grew up loving car combat games, the genre is pretty much dead at this point, though Carmageddon just dropped and it's pretty refreshing. While I don't expect everyone to be stoked on games like Twisted Metal, Carmageddon, and Destruction Derby, I think the idea that cars blowing up other cars just isn't fun is, well, incorrect. So he's saying that,
Yeah.
just shitting on an idea just because it was popular a long time ago it aggravates him. I'm oversimplifying what he's saying, but...
So I feel like genres go through ups and downs, and we're just kind of in the down period right now of car combat, and... Carmageddon just came out, and Road Rage is coming out, so maybe we'll be seeing a kind of a resurgence. But for now, the car combat itch for me is scratched by Mario Kart. I know it's not car combat technically, but I'm in a cart and I'm shooting other carts with weapons, so it's kind of like a cousin to the genre, I would say. I don't know. It's similar.
And you're just speaking for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I would love another Diddy Kong Racing, or an Extreme G, or something even like Burnout, just with a bunch of weapons.
Oh, yeah, Burnout
There's some of
is
these
there.
dormant franchises that need to come back. And I don't know. I think Twisted Metal hurt the genre. I think that game had a lot of expectations on it. It was a big budget, backed by Sony, car combat game from Jaffe, creator of the original, and it kind of flopped.
Yeah, and because it
So-
didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
fun.
what there were some server issues? Is that what
Yeah,
you're referencing?
like people couldn't play matches online.
Yeah.
Despite that, like just as a single player game, it still is a stinker.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't know. I enjoyed it, and I hadn't played the earlier ones, but
Yo, Nintendo, there's a little game called F-Zero that would be great on the NX.
That's not a car combat game though.
not really. It has some light elements of combat,
Light out. I'll take light. I'll take them.
but it doesn't have weapons. You like literally have to bash into people.
Need for Speed with weapons, Bloodworth. What do you think? Could
Yes.
they ever do it?
Heck yes.
That would be awesome.
They can't because it's a license. They
Still, we're seeing
spend so much
more-
money. They get so much money from the manufacturers or
We're
whatever.
seeing more destruction of real-world cars, though, as time has gone on. Back in the Gran Turismo 3 days, it was unheard of, and now these cars are coming apart.
Let's do it.
It would be a great turning point for the franchise and fill a void.
Let's bring it to like Kia. Let's bring it to car models that never get into games.
Yeah.
And you get to play as the weird guinea pigs.
Kia destruction. All Kias.
What I think though is that car combat is a silly genre, which is it's a genre that you need a budget for. And so it's really hard. Like if you look at big budget games, so few of them are silly. So few of them are like willing to be silly. It just like if you look at the big budget games coming out this year, maybe like Dead Rising. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just you need a big budget behind it. It's hard to do it correctly independently, as we see with Carmageddon and Max Damage, which I think has some cool stuff in it. We played it just this week.
Yeah.
It's a cool game, but just is hard to do right with what you have.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, in terms of going back to Twisted Metal, like I think mechanically there were a lot of cool things in there, and I like some of the maps and stuff.
It was good.
But it did really lean too heavily, and I think Carmageddon is the same way. They lean too heavily on their legacy, so it feels like a dated game. It feels like a 90s
Sure.
game. I
hear you.
You know,
I
what
definitely
coming
hear
out
you.
right now, because it's like this is just not what people are into right now, like in terms of the tone and everything of the stage. You know, if Twisted Metal had evolved in the same way that like Mad Max had evolved, you know, like then that would be something else.
Oh my God.
To where
Well,
like it felt like it was still part of that world, but it felt current.
You said the perfect words right there.
Yeah. Yeah, Mad Max has car combat, but it's terrible. Ugh.
Yeah. I agree with what you were saying. The only point I wanted to bring up is the Dead Rising and the silliness.
Yeah.
I feel like that rule doesn't apply when something is in vogue. So zombies around the time of the original Dead Rising were really coming into popularity, and I think you can get away with different tones if like your hook is big. You know, it's easier
Yeah.
to sell to people.
Man, speaking of zombies, you know, zombies encroaching on Resident Evil's legacy. Now Resident Evil's going to ghosts. Hypes me up. Hypes me up!
It hypes
Sorry.
me up too. No, you're fine. Unfortunately, that is going to do it for us on this episode of Flame Trap. Thank you to the excellent panel.
Thank
Some
you for
good-
having us.
Yeah, some good conversations. I know I'm shortchanging you guys. I know that this episode and the last episode were way shorter than they normally are. That's due to external circumstances, which will not always be the case.
3 hours next time.
We'll try to do what we can. I'm not making that promise, but I am
It might
aware.
be a good podcast though.
Yeah, I am aware that it's an issue. It will not always be this way. I promise. Please bear with me. We will have longer podcasts, and the email section won't always get the short shrift. But thank you all so much for watching. If you want more of us, go to easyallies.com. From there, you can access our Patreon, our Twitch page, our YouTube, all of that good stuff. And yeah, see you next time.